Forward!
Hard work, hard work. Hard work, hard work. Hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work. Hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's good? What's good? What's going on? I'm glad to be here this morning. A little late than we usually do, but I had to take care of some things. But I think I could not go the whole week without tapping in to basically speak on some things that's getting ready to pop off. Of course, we know the college football playoff ended last week. Earlier this week, correction, and we already know crowned the champion, the amazing blue and navy blue, amazing navy blue. So we know that, but of course, there's still stuff going on in college football. We got a plenty popping off of NFL, basketball, and everything like that. So y'all know what it is. What's going on? What's going on there, Coach? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right this morning, but what about yourself?
Oh, I'm good, man. Had to go take care of some stuff real quick and take care of some stuff, but I was just saying, couldn't go the whole this particular weekend before tapping in and saying speaking on some stuff as we get ready to get into the NFL's wild card weekend. Plenty of stuff going on in the NBA. A couple of blowouts yesterday. Speak on that a little bit. But first off, and talk about I was just getting ready to get into talk about this college stuff situation. As we all know, of course, in college, Coach Nick Saban decide to call it quits after 24 years was it? I think 24 years in which he's been coaching and stuff like that. Considered the GOAT in college football with all his accolades, 9 trips to the national championship. Of course, when I think what was it, 6 of them, 8 of them, or something like that. And of course, they're going to start looking. I see a bunch of memes talking about Dabble Sweeney moving over to Alabama, talking about bringing Urban Meyer back into it and everything. Steve Sarkisian leaving Texas to go coach in Alabama, which I don't know if that. Of course, you got Lane Kiffin that's in the SEC still, although he's probably locked into his Ole Miss job as he's been around the SEC a couple of times, as well as taking a brief stint to go to FAU and USC before he moved back into the SEC. So, but that's not the news for the most part. Well, the Nick Saban part of it, the news seems to be coming out in reference to Florida State, as one of their assistants, a couple of assistants have gotten bans and for violations due to NIL. So, of course, NIL, we know, name, image, and likeness has been a reasoning for a lot of players, lightweight, going to institutions, although universities cannot use NIL deals to lure players in. But in this particular instance, supposedly someone got caught doing this such. So I don't know if you heard it, Coach, but how do you get caught in that? Like, I wonder how do these people get caught? I think instead what happened is I think the player that was being sought after, who was going to be a transfer from the University of Georgia, I think he blew the whistle because he ended up removing his name from the portal, and I think he's staying at Georgia. He was the left tackle for Georgia. But how do you think this situation? How do these things get out? Honestly, besides the parties,
It's petty, right? Like same way. You got to think it's the same way that the Michigan got caught, quote unquote, cheating, right? Like somebody on the inside got to say something, right? Or what they do is like how Michigan did. You send somebody that pretends that they work for the other side or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like the enemy is a lot of time in your locker room, right? Like like these teams are so petty that they find out everything, right? So you get those people that can blend in and they find all the dirt on you, man. It's like it's no different than the Hollywood scene right now, the way the college football is, is being handled. As far all that stuff, man, it's like you knew it was coming. Like they need better regulations and rules for the NIL and the transfer portal to prevent that from happening. Like I've been telling you the whole time that the transfer portal is just like free agency. What happens in free agency? The place where you go, they throw more money at you and they figure out ways to do it clever, right? Like they can't per se just say we're going to give you this or you're going to get this, right? but they say, hey, look at our boosters. We got some of the best boosters. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
is that against the rules highlighting the boosters? Because that's what they do, right? Or
Yeah.
take Florida. If you're in Florida, you just say, "Hey, look, we in Florida." You know what I'm saying? We got money, right? Or you say, "Hey, we in Cali." We got money, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why Saban. I think that's why Saban really hung it up. The direction that college football is going in. You know what I mean? I mean, it might have been time for him to take some time, but really, he clearly didn't like the landscape. He didn't like what he saw already as far as where the NIL was going. He was one of the first ones to complain about the transfer portal, the transfer portal, all that stuff. Like, and he a 7-time champion. So you gotta, all these rookies at it, they don't know how to play the game, but he had been playing the game so well. I'm not gonna say that he was playing it right because we know everybody had tricks of the trade. But
Correct.
you gotta stop trying to get caught. You gotta try to do it in a clever way and not get caught.
And so now you look at that. Of course, with that being said, going back to talk about Saban, a lot of stuff on rap right here, especially when we talk about NCAA, because now, true enough, honestly, is exactly like it's a free agency in which you can go free agent at any time or be able to get in. Of course, those people like DJ Ugalea, he done went from Clemson to Oregon State. Now he's in Florida State. Florida State, who we talk about right now, who's been hit with the penalties. They're losing scholarships for 2 years. They have a ban for 2 years. They have coordinators have a ban for 3 years. It's not because all of it was level 2 infractions. But now they put it in the position to where also they, because of the ban and stuff like that, that hurts. I mean, it's not like what happened to USC. Like what happened to USC, I think it was just, it really hurt us. And we're still, in my opinion, even here we are 7 to 18 years later, we're still recovering from the situation, all that. And what I'm saying, that hurts programs. Like we went from being a top tier program to now we're middle tier, if for the most part, which allowed, I think that break in between allowed other organizations, schools to catch, to catch fire and to just continue. And now it's like, okay, well, go here instead of going to USC. And because we haven't recovered, it still hurts. So I think Florida State is going to face that type of situation as well with these 2 years that they're going to be looking at, even though it's not a huge thing, but it's definitely going to impose a little something on there. Going back into, like we was just talking about, Nick Saban with him deciding to vacate, in which I think, do you think he was looking at, he just didn't like the landscape, or it was just now the landscape has caught up to him and now he's not able to impose his will the way he used to, and he's like, you know what? Go ahead.
I'm listening.
No, I was about to say is a situation if you can no longer beat them and you don't want to join them, so get out. Get out while you can.
Exactly. It's like I said, man, the landscape it's changing in college football fast. It's not even a joke how quick things are changing. And now you're going into a 12-game playoff next year. That's all starting up. So I think Saban just said, man, it's hard. It's a hard enough grind to do it without the NIL and without the transfer portal, recruiting and all that stuff. So now imagine how much harder it is to get players, and it is Alabama. Like, I think that's moving forward. That's going to be a problem as far as being in the deep South, the Southeast. Like a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like now we can entice you. Now if I can entice you to stay in New York, you gonna stay in New York, right? Like you're not gonna go to Alabama. If I can keep you in Texas, it's no allure to go to Alabama no more, right? They used to pride themselves on the fact that you can make it to the pros here, right? Like look how many people went first round, but look how many people in general went to the pros under Saban's reign, right? It's like those were the allures. But now that you can get money in college, you don't have to rush. You know what I mean? The pros, you see it. I was just mentioning, Baby Tua said he gonna stay in college a 6 year, right? And he transferring from Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Like he transferred.
And what's crazy, he slowly but quietly got the Big Ten all-time passing record. Like ain't no one heard of Tua's little brother at Maryland, but he over there breaking records.
And
for
then he
the
wants to stay
conference.
for 6 years. So what does that tell you? Like, I don't have to get in the draft, right? Like, it used to be a pride thing. You trying to make it to the draft. Everybody want, like for the most part, you want to make it to the NFL. Now, what does it say about people saying, "Hey, I'm just gonna stay in college"? Like, who does that, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can enter the draft, you enter the draft, and you take your chances. But now, hey, I can make money here at college. I ain't got to rush, and it doesn't have to be it doesn't even have to be a premier school right now to make the money. That's what's sad about it. Is that you can go to Syracuse, and get the same. If you're the right player, you can go to Syracuse and get the same money you can get at a Florida State. Which is why I don't understand. I told you about Florida State already. Anyway, they low on my list. They already showed you in the bowl game. They
What they was
integrity.
about.
So I'm not even surprised that this happened to Florida State.
So interesting enough, just speaking about what you was just talking about, like the young Tua's Tagovailoa's little brother, being going for a 6 year. I can raise you one. Quarterback Casey Thompson has basically went from Texas to Nebraska to FAU, now to Oklahoma on his 7th year. He's playing his 7 year contract, and so if he does become, if he shows out and does what he needs to do, he's going to end up going to the league potentially as a 27-year-old rookie, because he's 26 right now. We're ready to go into what could be his 7th year of college football. Of course, when you take in consideration him being injured, the year that every player gets for COVID, and moving around, he has basically manipulated the system, in which he comes from the same draft class as another player that potentially has been manipulating the system, potentially going on his 6 or 7 year eligibility. Cam Rising, who plays for Utah. Cam started out in as a going to Texas, and he ended up flipping and going to back to Utah, and now he's looking because he's been injured the last couple of years of trying to get another year of eligibility. When it comes down to these eligibilities, how do you see it? And or do you think it should just be 4 years and that's it, regardless of the situation? What's good, BA? What's going on, fam? Salute to you,
I
fam.
think I think with the red shirt, the 5th year, the 5th year concept was always a pretty decent thing, because
Uh-huh.
we know everybody not gonna make it to the pros. And then injuries
On the red
happen.
shirt.
Or like I say, they red shirt you or whatever. That stuff has been common, but now it's getting outrageous. 6, 7 years, like you coming in. Come on, a nearly 30-year-old rookie. When has
Yeah.
that ever worked out? When has that worked out? You know what I mean? It's like, that's the player's choice. But why would you choose that option if you got another option? That means that you ain't confident in your option of going play on the big boy level. That's all it is, really. You know what I'm saying? So who would want to draft you if you passed up all these opportunities without good reason, right?
Yeah.
Um, like who would really want to draft you? Like, you already saying that you already making your own stock lower, in my opinion, if you stay in that long, because normally you can come out after, especially if you can come out after your junior year, right? Like, some of them go early, right? That's the earliest you can go in the NFL, after your junior year. So it's like some go early. What does that say? And then some want to stay forever. Remember, Matt Leinart stayed for a 5th year, and that pretty much killed him. That killed his NFL career, in my opinion. Like, he didn't
Mm-hmm.
really, even though he got drafted, his career just didn't pan out. Whereas I felt like if he would have went right after his 4th year, I think it would have been different for him.
I don't know what to say about Matt Leinart. That's a touchy subject with me. But yeah, so it's saying, when it comes down to it, it all comes to be crazy. And now, of course, going back to where we're looking at with Coach Saban, now currently Dan Lanning, coach for the University of Oregon, is expected, or is being coined as the front runner for the Alabama position. If you or Coach Lanning, are you going to the SEC and taking over Alabama, or are you staying at Oregon, going into the Big Ten and to compete there? What would be your mindset at this point?
As he already said, he not going. He likes staying in
Uh-huh.
Oregon. I think he made the right choice. He made the
Okay.
right choice, because the Oregon program is on the rise, man. They coming up, like, So and a part of it is because of him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, no doubt it's because of him, like, taking over. Like, they was already good, pretty good, but he done kept them at a certain level, and they only gonna get better. So it's like, stay where you are, man. You got all the chances. You know what I'm saying? You got all the chances that Alabama had. Like, Alabama, that's gonna be a struggling program for a little bit. We seen it happen all the time. That when a coach stay that long, you see recruits already backing out. You know, different things are already starting to take place in Alabama. That is gonna be hard to, they're gonna go through a little short rebuild phase.
So it's interesting. I see drunk and BA jumping in the comments and speaking on it, talking about he should stay in Oregon. That's the better position. But so let me paint a picture right quick. So say, like we say, we know recruiting heavy on the West Coast for the most part for Landon because of the Oregon, what he's doing in Oregon. We know Oregon is a different type of organization due to their backing, especially coming from that of Nike, right? So looking at that though, what do you think Lanning can do if he was in Alabama? And you don't think he can take the Alabama team and make it almost like an Oregon South, in a sense, with his the ability to recruit West Coast players and the ability, and then still the draw of Alabama being like, I mean, he's no slouch. I mean, he ain't got what his resume doesn't speak to that of Nick Saban's, but could he potentially? No one's is for the most part. Like, who potentially, if not Dan Lanning, which we know he's not going to. Who else do you think would be a good fit for that job? Whether it's in the current powerhouse or just someone lurking.
I personally think you got to find somebody that's been there before. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me
Kirby
personally,
Smart, Sarkisian,
I think if
Kiffin.
I I think if Bill O'Brien don't get
Mm.
like a job in the NFL as a coordinator with Bill Belichick being out, I don't know what that's gonna mean for Bill O'Brien, but I think Bill O'Brien will be a good fit because he worked with Saban. He understand the culture down there. You can't just throw them West Coast. I'm sorry, you can't just throw the West Coast people down there in the South trade and think, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole
You
different
think
ball
it's gonna
game.
work?
Like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying it's a whole. So you got to get somebody that already understand the mentality down there. You know what I mean? Or maybe you can like I think they can find somebody that already worked with Saban and just promote somebody like that or bring somebody in. I heard Lane Kiffin name mentioned. I think he a good fit. If Lane wanted to make that move, he always wanted to put on Saban's shoes anyway. So I think that'll be a good fit.
I think all of his predecessors, i.e., except for like you say, O'Brien, I think everyone else that's been under his tree is content where they are, or they look at it as now I consider why do I want to go back there to make a name for myself when I'm already trying to make a name for myself here. I don't think Saban for the most part. I'm not Saban. Kiffin, I don't think he'll go back. I think he's good. He feels good being in Ole Miss. Of course, the only thing that might make it is what they're offering him. Kirby Smart, I'm very sure he's comfortable in as Georgia. Who else is out there? I don't know. So yeah, it's going to
Hey,
be
look,
interesting.
in the words of Jay-Z, man, we can talk, but money talks. So talk more bucks. It's you know what I'm saying? Money, the right amount of money, the right amount of money would be enticing for any coach, especially. But it'll be hard. Like some of these other coaches, it's like Landon got more. In my opinion, he would have more to lose if he went to Alabama and it's a flop, right? Like it doesn't
Uh-huh.
work out. You already establishing yourself as a good coach. What was his name? I don't know where he is, but what was the guy that coached LSU, Ogeron, or whatever his name is? They should go dig him up. He should
Yeah.
get an interview. I think he'll be a good fit. Like if he still want to coach. I mean, you got some coaching, you got some options. But it's gonna come about. You got to pay the right person to want to step into Nick Saban's shadow, man. Like that's a lot of people gonna duck that. A lot of people don't want that, right? Like you know, like a lot of people not gonna want that. So I think you got to get somebody that's willing to take on that responsibility and and willing to struggle out the gate, like because it ain't gonna be easy.
So of course, last but not least, when we talk about college, three big names have decided to enter into the NFL. Those being well, no, two, at least two. Mike Vrabel. Oh, he said Mike Vrabel. to Bama? You
I
think
think,
Mike Vrabel was ready for college to make that
but I think
transition?
if he don't get a job in the NFL, then I don't see why, right? But I think Vrabel got his sights on one of those NFL jobs that's open, right? Like, I don't think he through with the NFL yet.
Hmm. But like I said, at least two top tier quarterbacks, the quarterback running wide receivers are decided to take their try in the NFL. Of course, one being Oduzine from Washington, and the other being, of course, who heralded everyone talking about, Harrison Jr. Both have decided to declare for the NFL draft. Do you think these are talents that change the trajectory of a team going forth?
Yep. I think especially Marvin Harrison. I like the fact that, like, I want to give a shout out to his daddy, because I know his daddy had to have some influence to say, "Hey, boy, go on to the pros, like leave this college." I know, you know what I mean. I know Senior had to have some influence in that, you know, but yeah, go on to the pros and prove who you are, do your thing, go break records in the pros. I think he could be a record breaker, right? Um, just like you saw Puka Nakua come in and surprise everybody. Zay Flowers was good this year. The young dudes like Nico Collins, all those dudes, man, like they come out of nowhere and they making themselves names. You got to look at. I know he's been in the league a few years and stuff now, but you got to think. Did anybody think Armand St. Brown was going to be as good as he is for the? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I mean, for
of course, I
Detroit.
did. He's a
I
Trojan.
mean,
Like Trojan receivers
but
are
of course
pretty good.
but bias aside, did you really think so? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Did you really, really think so? I mean, I'm just saying.
Well,
So,
you know what?
you
Truth be
know,
told, I was kind of iffy because his brothers, you know what I'm saying,
see,
he has brothers that was already in the league that we ain't really hear nothing about. So I was like, but they
see,
wasn't as heralded as he was. So, but I get what you're saying.
yeah. So it's like, and right now receivers, like, with quarterbacks being at the forefront of football, receivers are crucial right now. Like the potential to, you got the potential to be the second best thing on your team. You know what I'm saying? Or the third
Mhm.
best, if you don't have a defensive lineman. You got to count the defense on the other side. But you got a chance to be the third highest paid. Like they ain't paying these receivers the money. Just because, like, when you start finding a good receiver, you got to hang on to him, right? Like, so I think this draft gonna show you that the mixtures of quarterbacks. I don't think all these quarterbacks are gonna make it like they projecting, which they never do. Like some of them are gonna be a hit or miss, but you can't go wrong with these receivers pretty much, right? It's because it's gonna be about what organization they get with, and then the development of the quarterback, right? Like if you got a quarterback that's not that good, then yeah, like take the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young struggled. He gonna need some receivers. He gonna need more than a receiver. But you feel what I'm saying? But you start building, and if you're gonna keep Bryce, you got to bring in some receivers.
So, Drunk, of course, states that he believes that Brendan. That was on my mind because I was about to say y'all sleeping on Brendan Rice. Don't stop sleeping on my man's.
Oh
But
yeah, Rice. I told you he gonna be pretty good. I think he gonna be good. Like I said, if he half as good as Jerry, he gonna be pretty good in the league today.
Drunk was saying Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the best talent in the draft, and he would personally take him over any of the quarterbacks, meaning that he would basically, if Chicago was to keep the number one pick, do you pair MHJ with DJ Moore and run it, and with who you still got Mooney that's still there. Kemet is there. Do you think that's a good pairing to potentially in keeping Justin Fields? You think that would be a good look by Chicago? It might be their move.
Like then it worked for Burrows, right? Like you brought in Jamar Chase, you had T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That stuff worked. Didn't it work for Cincinnati? Like, yeah, I think he right. I think Drunk got a good point as far as Marvin Harrison. I think he is the best talent, and I think if you Chicago, you got to really consider Chicago got. If you're gonna keep Fields, then either you trade out of that spot and get more draft picks to make a pick, or you take Marvin Harrison Jr. right off the rip. But if you keep Fields, you got to get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Gotta give him something different.
Look, don't pull a
Why not?
Houston Texans. Don't pull it. The Houston Texans of the past and pick like a Mario Williams for defense. Like that's gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Like Jerry Jones has proven that you don't have to take defensive players real high. Jerry Jones has proven that over and over with the DeMarcus Lawrence moves. Like a certain moves that he's made in the draft, but you always can come out. Bill Belichick showed you that in the past that you don't always have to take. Like he took Christian Gonzalez like in the late. You know what I'm saying? In the late round, right? So it's like you can still get good defensive talent later on in the draft. You don't have to use your big picks on that.
Here go BA with the BS.
I'm feeling that. Oh yeah.
So right, moving into the NFL, right? I have something to say. I want to get something off my chest, right? I'm tired of these organizations, the other 31 organizations, when it comes time, poaching my team for leadership. They coach, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're not a breeding ground for leaders and coaches and stuff like that, in which you poach the team, and which, you know what I'm saying, in some cases they wasn't ready, and then they go on and they become like you just had Rand Cartham get taken to go be the GM in Tennessee. We just recently, as of early this morning, Adams Peters has been taken from us to go be the GM for the Washington Commanders. D'Amico Ryans taken from us to go be the head coach for the Houston Texans. Robert Saleh taken from us to go be the head coach for the New York Jets.
Didn't D'Amico Ryans also take y'all quarterback coach or whatever to be his offensive coordinator? He took somebody else with him when he left.
He took someone and he took players. He got, you know what I'm saying? And Mike Daniels took it from us to go be the head coach for the Miami Dolphins. And now they're looking at Steve Wilkes to do an interview to go be a head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. Like, why are we getting poached for all this? It's other teams. Why ain't anyone poaching Kansas City or Philadelphia or the Dallas Cowboys, the Lions? Why aren't we poaching those teams or organizations for coaches? Why are my people being poached, and where we have to create to continue to better ourselves and create the wheel? And then when we're in the dark places, because what happens is when these people go to these organizations, they have an inside track on our spot already, and which makes it hard when it comes down to the situation where we're looking at, hey, some people got to be we need to feel this. Hey, they contracts. The contract ain't looking right. Hey, I'm in my death row role. Hey, you tired of coaches being on your sideline? Come over to death row. And you know what I'm saying? Now we sit up and got a problem. This is, you know what I'm saying? This is just my rant right now. Of course, we want to sit up and say congratulations to Adam Peters being selected as the head coach. But you know what I'm saying? It took a little bit because as we all know, they hired Myers as an advisor to help out, but he had a connection being the old GM for the Golden State Warriors to the front office in San Francisco, and kind of walked it in. And you know what I'm saying, now Josh Harris has a huge hire for his squad. So but you know what I'm saying, that's just my rant for the morning.
Because look at this. You gotta look at this right here. It's just y'all turn, right? Like all those other places that you mentioned, they have been poached, and it just didn't work out the way, you know what I'm saying. But this San Francisco formula seems to be working out, right? Look at D'Amico Ryans. Look at McDaniels. Look at McDaniels. 2 years. Look at Miami. You feel what I'm saying? They in the thick of things. I mean, I'm just saying it proves to be working taking Shanahan's people. Like it didn't work taking Belichick's. It didn't work so much. Next is gonna be Dan Campbell, right? Next is gonna be Dan Campbell. They're gonna be taking, they tried to Sean McDermott, take some of his people. It ain't work out, right? So I mean, I'm just saying, you see Philly lost both of their coordinators already. They both head coaches, you know what I'm saying? And seem to be doing pretty good. So it's like, hey, what's working? Hey, that's going to be the thing is that it's working taking San Francisco, and plus they want the opportunities. So you have to say, sometimes you have to say, what is San Francisco doing that they can't keep some of these guys? Like
But
like
you know
I
what?
get it. Head coaching is a good opportunity.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
for anybody.
that's money. Yeah, that's a promotion, and you get an opportunity, and or because, like you said, head coaches, GMs, and stuff like that. But it's like I look at it like how you. It's hard at some point. We're not going to be able to replace the. You know, what I'm saying it's going to send us into the dark ages because we're going to have to
Well,
build it back up again. So
Dan Quinn could have had a head coaching job last season, but he chose to stay in Dallas. So
I think he's
you
going
know
to
what
get
I'm
it
saying?
this year.
Yeah, he chose to stay in Dallas. So I think it's a choice, right? You make a choice.
But I mean, think about it, right? He's Ben Johnson. Hope we keep Ben Johnson. With Hicks, gonna go. Nah, y'all gonna lose Ben Johnson. Y'all gonna
Yeah,
lose
he
him.
gone.
Yeah, he's
he
gone.
gone. If he can find a good spot, he gone.
They say
It's done
he gonna
deal.
be successful, but he's go. He out of there. Yeah,
And
make it
next
work.
gonna be Aaron Glenn. Like in a couple of years, y'all gonna lose Aaron Glenn. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just bound to happen.
They said next to Cowboys and take John Lynch for the 49ers. They bet not.
Hey, the same way we remember back in the days we took Dion in free agency. Like don't let John Lynch have a little riff. He gone. Jerry will have him. Nah, Jerry the GM. So Jerry gonna be the GM until he can't do it no more. Is what I think. You know what I'm saying?
Dan Quinn. He said Dan Quinn might go back to Seattle.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think that's where Dan Quinn, like you said, Dan Quinn is gone. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. But it's like, yeah, you want that's what you want. You want that to happen.
I think Dan Quinn can go. I think Dan Quinn can go anywhere except Atlanta, right? You know what I'm saying? Like he can't go back to Atlanta. That's about it. He might be able to go back to Atlanta at this point.
Out of all these coaches who have left these positions, do you think is there one that you think will not get a position?
As far as
a head coach position, that's a head coach position.
Oh yeah, it's we know Bieniemy probably not gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody always talking his name. We know the Chargers are interviewing other people. So what does that say about Kellen Moore? He not gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with Kellen Moore that they skipping over him? New England already chose Gerard Mayo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They already chose somebody. It always happens like that, right? You say these are good candidates, and then they come up because somebody always go different, right? Like how Irsay went and got Steichen. Nobody saw that. You know what I mean? Like he tried Jeff Saturday before that, so you already saw that he thought outside the box, but then he went and got Steichen. I think some of them just not going. Like it always happens. Like a high candidate don't make the cut.
Does Ron Rivera get another head coaching position?
Ron Rivera, no, not. I don't see him. Unless you planning on losing for a while, I wouldn't go the Ron Rivera route. I mean, I'm just saying, no knock against Ron Rivera, man, but he clearly been struggling his last few years, Trey. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think he need to take a moment and get it. He took a year off, I think, but he need to take another year off and get his health right. I think his health issues is the problem. You know what I'm saying? You can't be that consistently for a team. So I think get your health right and then come back and give it a shot. You know what I mean? Then come back. But
does Staley get another head coach?
Staley? Heck no. Staley got a job in Division 2, Division 3 somewhere. Yeah, he gonna get a job somewhere. Or maybe he might even get Division 1. But in the NFL, nah. Unless, I think he could be a part of a team as analytical part, you know what I'm saying? Like I put him right in the booth, right next to my offensive coordinator to discuss the analytics. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that'll work out for him. But Staley should not be a coach. He proved that already. Get your game up and come back a couple of years later. Like Pete Carroll did. Remember, Pete Carroll wasn't all that successful in the pros at first, but then he went down to the college level. He won on that level.
When he came back, yeah.
Right, and now he a legend. So I'm saying, like, Staley, get your game up. I think Staley he young. Right? Like they put him in that position because they was trying to get the next McVay. It's LA. They was trying to get the next McVay. And it just don't like McVay is a special breed of person being as young as he is doing what he's doing, man. You know what I'm saying? Like not everybody could do that. Like, and the Chargers just was trying to keep up with the Joneses when they made that move.
So stay in a sense still in college. I mean, in the coaching realm, the Patriots, as we said, we know selected Jared Mayo as their predecessor, their successor to Bill Belichick. Check. What do you think brought about Bill exiting? Well, you think it was just time? They said both sides. It was mutual for both sides for him to part. Do you think it just had became a stale? It became stale. They became stale in New England, and they figured like it was time to try to mix it up and get some new blood in there.
I think Krabs. I think Mr. Krabs just stepped to Bill and said, "Hey, man, uh, your personnel." Your choices in personnel is falling off, and then you keep bringing all these coaches. You know what I'm saying? You like not this past season, but the season before that, you had Matt Patricia as your offensive coordinator. That didn't even make sense, right? That didn't make sense at all. Like you starting to do things that's uncharacteristic of you, Bill. So you know what I'm saying? Maybe you need to relinquish some responsibility. And I think Bill said, "Nah, I can. If I wanted to do that, I can go somewhere else where they already got a winner, and I ain't got to." You know what I'm saying? It's like what Bill pretty much did is he burnt the house down, so to speak, before he left, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Because who gonna be the quarterback now for the Patriots? How you gonna get players? Like what moves you gonna make? You know, like Mayo ain't got it easy in New England right now. Bill didn't leave him in good shape. He burned the house down before he left, man. Like which is what people do sometimes when they stay too long, right? Like sometimes when people overstay their welcome, you got to throw them out, right? You know what I'm saying? You got to be like, hey, it's time to go. And they're like, nah. So you gotta call the cops. You know what I'm saying? You got to serve them with eviction notices and everything. Like this is my spot. Like I think it's just time for Bill to do something different, take on a little bit of lighter responsibility, which I don't think he wanted to do that in New England because he ran things there so long. But I think somewhere else he'll accept that role. You know what I mean?
Speaking of that, now that has a void, who now becomes the GM for the Patriots? Unless Mayo is given that point too. And then secondly, where does Bill go? Where you think is the perfect fit for both? Of course, Bill. Of course, we keep on hearing him in Atlanta. But you know what I'm saying? Ideally, where do you think is where do you see Bill being the most impactful in these areas?
He should have went to the Chargers, man. If he could have got the Chargers job, I think he go to the Chargers. They at least become Super Bowl worthy, and they get over there with Andy Reid and fight it out. That'll be great. Two legendary coaches fighting it out for the AFC West. That'll be primetime football. But I want to address what Drunk's saying right here, man. Pull that up on the screen. Like, stop it, Drunk. Like he did. Like everybody started to say that Brady covered up. Brady is one man. Bill Belichick drafted the Brewskis. He drafted all those people, man. He made free agent moves that brought in people. You know what I'm saying? He made those moves. Like you can't take that away from Bill. Bill brought in, he brought in the Chandler Joneses. He brought in, you know what I'm saying? Like he brought in the Jared Mayos. All those people that used to play for Bill. You know what I'm saying? He had the Deion Branches, the Ty Laws and all that, man. He kept those people around. The Asante Samuels and stuff, man. Bill Belichick did that. You know what I'm saying? Stephon Gilmore, he took him straight from Buffalo. He said, yo, I played against this dude. We kicked their butt twice a year, but this dude is good. He brought him over, and he was Defensive Player of the Year. Bill Belichick made some moves, man. Y'all just don't want to give him credit because everybody want to say that Brady was the reason. But it's like, no, man, it take two to tango. Brady did what he was supposed to do. Brady may have kept the locker room together, but Bill brought in players to play, and they never had all the talent. They did more with less. That's what makes Bill so cold, is that he did more with less.
And that's what it say. He knew how to draft. But he said 10 years ago.
Right. He overstayed it. That's what overstaying your welcome is, and that's what burning it down means. You know what I'm saying? That's what he did.
So basically, your what you're alluding to is that he did what he needed to do. It's just that kept him there too long. It became stale. Now maybe he can go. And I'm very sure he's not going to go anywhere else and get those privileges to be the general manager again. But he gets to go somewhere and rely on being a coach, giving his insight on what he thinks he needs. And so for you think putting him with Justin Herbert is going to be the best move and the right move to put him in the California Sun?
Yep, because I think that move is good for him because it's a lot of talent over there. So, and I don't think Bill ain't never had that much talent like they got over there in LA. So all he got to do is bring his coaching style in there, shape up the defense as far as the X's and O's on the defensive side of the ball, and they'll be much better. And then um, he can harness Herbert as far as limit your mistakes and make some of these game-winning drives happen. You know what I mean? Like that team lost a lot of games by one possession games, but they lost a lot of games like that, like one drive games where they couldn't get over the hump. So it's like, yo, bring in Belichick. He'll show you how to get over that hump, and you'll start winning those games. And like I said, he ain't never had that much talent at one time on any of his teams.
I don't. So you think that's the most talented teams that's out there? No, I think Atlanta's probably got the most talent. You don't think so?
I mean, the Chargers got a lot of talent, like on both sides of the ball. Like they got a lot of talent. Like
so they got young. They have young talent, but they have aging talent as well. I think that doesn't equal out because
I think that's the combination. But that's how Bill was winning in New England, right? Like young blood with some new blood mixed in, right? Like he had veteran players like Rodney Harrison and Junior Seau. They was veterans when they played for Bill, like longtime veterans. You know what I mean? Like so-called old. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying. I think if you got all that talent, that mixture of young talent and good and old talent. It's like that's how Phil Jackson won his championships with young talent and old talent. You know what I mean? Like
at this point, if as a head coach and with those positions, and he was being told it, you would rather the mixture as opposed to young talent that you could groom and make it your and grow, or you would rather go with the mixture of some talent, probably lesser talent, but there's a mixture of young and old as opposed to because that's basically what you're looking at. Atlanta is a barrel of talent, young talent. The Chargers has a plethora of, like you said, young talent, and but we talking about young as in 3 or 4 years young, and then the opportunity to get some more because I mean they were a bad team, so they're going to have some draft choices, and then you have of course Atlanta, they're drafting middle of the barrel, but they have young talent because of the past instances. When you look at everyone else, who else is there that's out there? He can't go back to New England, so you can't count that. But they already hired their coach. What else is out there? Who else is out there?
I mean, the Seattle job is open, but
that's not. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, Washington, the Commanders. I think they have some young talent as well, but not as talented as Atlanta, in my opinion.
This is my thoughts on the mixture. I would take the mixture of talent because that's what's winning in the league right now. Mm-hmm. That's what's winning Super Bowls right now. That's the young teams are not winning Super Bowls right now. You know what I'm saying? Like they not winning. It was Patrick Mahomes with a bunch of veterans. You feel what I'm saying? There's some young talent here and there. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like the veterans, the mixture of talent is what's winning. Is what's winning Super Bowls right now. LA. I mean, look at Tampa won the Super Bowl and they had a mixture of young and old, right? You know what I'm saying? Like same thing with LA, right? They had a mixture of young and old. They had veteran players and then young, so they had some young talent. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's what's winning right now. So you got to go with what's winning. Young talent, yeah, it's good to look at and it's developing and they coming. You know what I'm saying? But how long do you have to wait before you see like what you're seeing right now is an anomaly with D'Amico Ryan and the young talent that he got and what they're doing. That's an anomaly. That's not always what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just the right situation at the right time. And it shows you what could be if you could bring in the right mindset with the young talent, right? But not everybody's doing that. So it's like, McVay, he done won with a mixture of talent. All these people win. You know what I'm saying? Like, take Cincinnati. They had a bunch of young talent, right? Like very few veterans on that squad at first when they went to and they didn't get it done. So they went to the Super Bowl, but they didn't get it done. So yeah, mixture for me it's the mixture.
I can get down with that. I would not argue with that. That when you said it as you start breaking down, it's like, yeah, he's right. You know what I'm saying? You haven't had too many that haven't done it with, saying without as much.
Well, look at Baltimore. It's a mixture of talent, right? You got young talent with veterans, right? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like you got young talent. You got Odell Beckham playing with Zay Flowers. You got you know what I'm saying? You got these veteran players. Before Mark Andrews got hurt, he a veteran, right? You got Patrick Queen on the defensive side. You got veterans over there, and then you got young to mix with the young talent.
Drunk asked a question: where do we put Justin Herbert in within the 32 quarterbacks? Where's his ranking?
Somewhere in the middle, like 12 or 13 somewhere. Like he ain't real high on my list, you know.
I don't know. He
Numbers
might be
wise,
top
he real
10.
good.
He might be
Eh,
top 10.
Numbers wise, he alright, but as far as getting it done, like yeah, it's quarterbacks that I take over him all day long. Like I take a hurt Aaron Rodgers over. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
I take a hurt Aaron Rodgers over Herbert. And I don't
Oh, I
even
don't
really
know
like
about that.
Aaron Rodgers like that. You know what I'm saying? And I've been saying for years Aaron Rodgers was not overrated, but given heralded a little too much for one Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And all them disappointments up there in Lambeau. So all them disappointing seasons in Lambeau. So yeah, but I would take Aaron Rodgers over Herbert. Are we
Really?
talking winning? Are we talking winning? Or are we just talking potential? What are we talking when we talk to this guy? Because he got all the potential in the world, but he ain't done nothing.
If y'all have a choice in the Raiders, do you have Harbaugh or Bill Belichick as coach?
Oh,
Where-
if I can get
where-
Harbaugh, I'm taking Harbaugh.
I don't know about Harbaugh coming back to the league. I was thinking about that. I don't know about I mean, of course, there's a little bias in it as well because he left us. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know about Harbaugh coming back to the league. I think Harbaugh is the new Saban in college, and that's where he needs to
Think so?
stay. Yeah, I think he's the new
I think
Saban. That's where he needs to stay.
you know, if you the Raiders, if you can get Harbaugh, you take Harbaugh. You know what I'm saying? You take Harbaugh.
I'm that's what I'm saying, drunk. I don't know what Slick is on this
I mean, I'm
morning,
just saying.
and
You take
he ain't just say a regular Herbert over Rodgers. He said he'd take a hurt Rodgers over Herbert. If Herbert ain't hurt, my man is cooking. Like, oh my goodness.
I mean, come on, man. You got to take Rodgers, man. Like Herbert, all his potential. They've been saying it for years. How many years? You know what I'm saying? Herbert finna into the Dak territory where either you gonna get it done or they just gonna bash you forever because it's like, yo, how many years we gonna say that you got all this talent and you haven't done it? You haven't done anything. Like like we can blame the coaches, but sometimes, man, you got to win some of those games.
So
Like
true that.
look how many game-winning drives he could have had, and he came up short. He either threw an interception, he fumbled the ball, or he threw it, or he threw incomplete passes, or he took sacks. It's like at some point you got to make a move if you got all that talent, like they say you got, and they paying you a lot of money.
Harbaugh's staying in. He's staying. I think he's staying. I think he stays in
I think
Michigan.
I think he gonna entertain some. He gonna entertain the buzz. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, Herbert got talent, but I'm saying right now, it's just potential talent. That's why I said if Bill went there, then he'll make that talent. He'll make them winners. That's what I'm saying. Bill will make them instant winners because he'll show them how to win those close games. Like Herbert is losing those games. I didn't say he's not talented. I just said
Herbert. I
that
think Herbert
how
is
long you gonna say
probably
you got the potential to be one of the greatest and you don't show it?
out at this juncture in the 32, the NFL 32. Even taking into consideration the 32 that are the other ones that are injured, the Watsons and Burrows, I think Herbert might be top 10.
Think so?
I think he might be top 10.
So how would you rank them? Because you got like you got like Mahomes, you got Jackson, you got what I'm saying. Like now C.J. Stroud threw his name in there. You got Burrow. You got
In my opinion, CJ Stroud has not thrown his name in anywhere. Like it's like
man, please, C.J. Stroud is
CJ Stroud he's I think he's middle tier. He might be in the top 15. Top 16. CJ might be between 10 and 16. It would
he got the
depend
best
on
long ball in the game, Trey. Come on, he got the best long ball in the game. You know what I'm saying?
I think Herbert
You know.
might have a better long ball. So take this into consideration. It comes. So check me out. Hear me out first. He said call the drug, but Jordan Love better than Herbert. I ain't watched Jordan Love enough to say that, to see that
I think
peak game.
I agree. But I think Herbert got all the potential to be. He got potential to be real great, man. Like
Because
I mean, he got
so
the potential, but he just ain't
put
lived
this in
up to it
perspective.
yet.
Put it in perspective, right? If Herbert, in which I understand injuries happen, if Herbert was an injury and he would have had Mike Williams, Chargers would have been in a different position this year. Mike Williams was down at the beginning of the season, no different. And I mean, now call me crazy or call me drunk, and I don't even drink. Mike Williams is better than Keenan Allen to me because when Keenan Allen's out, Herbert is still able to win with just Mike Williams. Mike Williams goes down, Herbert struggles with Keenan Allen to get, to give him the ball and stuff like that. So it's a difference, saying they can have the same thing. Keenan Allen was out last year or the year before that. Chargers was contenders. Mike Williams, at some point, Mike Williams went out too. Kelly Allen was just coming back in, but they was already in a position. Mike Williams go down early this year. Keenan Allen was healthy the majority of the year. They struggled. I don't know. So I just think, but when I look at that, man, I just think, and it would probably be hard for me to name another nine. I mean, a total of 9 better ones than what's the name? Maybe he is, like you said, maybe he's top 15. I could say that.
But here's
Maybe
my point.
Herbert is top 15.
Herbert got way more talent. That's what I'm saying. Herbert got way more talent than Patrick Mahomes ever had on the offensive side of the ball. And who do you trust in a situation? If I need to get in field goal range right now, who you going with? Like, Herbert can't get you in field goal range. He can't get you the yardage to get in field goal range to kick a game-winning field goal. Like, that's the problem with Herbert. Like, really, that's just my problem with him right now, is that once he learned how to finish games off, they're going to be cold no matter who on the field with him. But he got way more talent than Patrick Mahomes ever had. And they finishing, like, they barely made the playoffs last year. And you seen what happened. They got ran off the field, after having a big lead, even though I blame the coach for that. But I'm just saying, he ain't a closer yet. So,
okay.
When is he going to be a closer is the question. When is he going to close games off with all the talent that he got? He got way too much talent for them to be struggling. I think they won 5 games this year, even though he got hurt. But I think they only won 5 games with all that talent.
Again, remember the conversation we had: mediocre quarterbacks and with or what mediocre quarterback, exceptional receiver, or exceptional quarterback, mediocre receivers. Which one do you prefer to have? Where, if you had to choose, which one do you want?
You can win middle of the pack.
When you think so? I think middle of the pack makes it hard.
I think you can win with a quarterback. Like you can win with a quarterback from the middle of the pack, man. It's been done. Like, you've seen that happen more than it has the other way around, right? Like, you can win. You got to have some talent, right? It's like Kurt Warner turned out to be great, right? But then you take what's his name, Brad Johnson, winning with the Bucks, right? Like, they never mention his name, right? They always just mention that defense. They never say, but he played pretty good football that year, right? Like, he didn't turn the ball over much. He just managed the games. He didn't make a lot of mistakes. Trent Dilfer won with Ray Lewis them, and he didn't just, he had Shannon Sharp, and he just didn't make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like, Elway was well prime when he won 2 championships. You know what I'm saying? In his prime, he went 3 times and couldn't get it done. And he had the trio of receivers. You remember that? You know what I'm saying? He had Jackson Johnson, and I can't remember the third one name, but he had all these big time receivers. He couldn't get it done. And then, you know what I'm saying? He was older, and what did they do? Like, he wasn't the same Elway, but what did they do? They still put that talent around him, and he was able to get it done, right? Like, he had Shannon Sharp again. He had the McCaffreys. He had quite a few people out there that was weapons, and he had Terrell Davis in the backfield. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he was able to win 2 Super Bowls. So, yeah, I think you can do it.
Junk asked the question: do you still think Salah should be fired when he had the number 1 team in the number 1 defensive squad in the league?
But where did that get him? What was his record? 7-10 with the number 1 defense. Like I'm just saying, man, your record 2 years in a row, 7-10. You ain't progressing. Like, that's not progression. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not progression. A coach should be able to, a coach in the NFL should be able to make adjustments to where, if you got all that talent, man, you got to be able to make a move with it. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, Like keep
So with
Saleh if you
everything,
want to keep him, but he got to grow.
if you're the owner or GM of the Jets, knowing that the situation with Aaron Rodgers didn't go as planned, you're getting rid of Salah this year with 2 years at 14 and 20 in 2 years.
Yeah, this is why. Because
Okay.
I'm telling you, you could have brought in another coach. I mean, and everybody gonna say that they needed Aaron
Another
Rodgers
backup.
or whatever. Man, you could have got a good player like for Zach Wilson. So that comes down to the coach saying what I need on this team. You kept a dude that you had that you pretty much was saying we picked him second overall in the draft. We really don't like him, but maybe if he sit behind Aaron Rodgers, he can learn a little bit and he'll be a better quarterback. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? But then your quarterback go down and everything. Stefanski, he ain't got no excuses. He went 12-5. You know what I'm saying? Like he went. I mean, some of these. Look at what Shanahan did when he was losing all his quarterbacks. You feel what I'm saying? Look at what Shanahan did. He was losing all his quarterbacks. Good coaches can make those adjustments and still figure out a way to win some games. What I'm saying is with the talent that the Jets had, Brees Hall, they had Dalvin Cook one while, but Brees Hall, you take a healthy Brees Hall, you take what's his name, Garrett Wilson, you take the Lazards and all those people that you brought in for Aaron Rodgers and stuff, and you say, hey man, why are we not performing at a higher clip? And then you, like you said, you got the number one defense. You don't even really have to score that many points, and y'all can't figure out a way as a head coach. You can't figure out a way to get your team 17 points. If they holding teams to 16 points, you can't figure out a way to get your team 17 points. Who is that on? That's not always on the players. That's on what you got going on over there, right?
Mm-hmm. Game plan and execution.
You know.
So he said they need a better line, though. Pretty good at running back, and wide receivers won't work without that. So speaking of players, good players, and which we're going to go back and forth in between different things as it comes up in the conversation. Speaking of good players, Christian McCaffrey and Fred Warner both unanimously selected as all pros in the NFL this year. And then, of course, you got a unanimous selection for Tyreek Hill, but who cares about Tyreek Hill? Christian McCaffrey and Fred Warner, that's a bad man, both selected to the All Pro team, first team All Pro team unanimous selections. Again, like you were saying or earlier, we was talking about that bodes hella good when you're looking at a team for the most part, putting in them positions. Of course, other people that was voted, Josh Allen, second team, I believe. Lamar Jackson, first team. Let me see who else was it. In any case, while I look at that, let's talk about Warner and McCaffrey. Think about this, right? McCaffrey was not healthy for a vast majority of his career when he was in Carolina. Was it because they didn't have any weapons and he was the go-to? Because think about it. What could McCaffrey, Olsen, and Newton have been? Never got a chance to see it really. But you see what's going on since he has been in San Francisco. McCaffrey has been a problem. And he has made the 49ers a juggernaut.
I'm starting to think McCaffrey milked some of them injuries down there in Carolina. I'm starting like all of a sudden you just super healthy and you know what I'm saying? We knew you was good, but all of a sudden you super healthy. Is it the sun? I mean, is it San Francisco? Is it the Bay Area? Because you had sun down, like it ain't always all that cold in North Carolina. But all of a sudden you super healthy, like. I don't know. Is it better? Is it better trainers? Better, better conditioning? What is it? All of a sudden he's super healthy. Like he takes some injuries, but he ain't been out no long extended periods of time like he was down there in Carolina. It's like, yo, he coming right back. Like
I don't know. It's crazy. Like if you look at it, because I was like, man. I mean, of course you want that type of talent, but it's like you want to give up what what it is. But I mean, he is, like you said, he has been that. For a second, it was him and Alvin Kamara had the same numbers. Now we starting to see, you know what I'm saying? We got to take in consideration that Alvin Kamara was out, but McCaffrey was out 1 to 2 years in his first beginning of his career, and they had the same numbers. So it's like, okay, but now, of course, we're seeing where there's a pool. There's definitely starting to be a separation between the two of them. But ideally, I believe they're the same type of running back. It's just I wouldn't mind having Alvin Kamara, if a healthy Alvin Kamara, but of course, I prefer Christian McCaffrey. But to go on, first team basically is made up of, and of course, I'll get your opinion on this first team: Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Juszczyk, of course, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Trent Williams, Joel Bettino, Tyler Smith, Jason Kelsey, Zach Martin, and Lane Johnson. I know you probably feel the same way. Zach Martin's probably deserving a first team vote. And on defense, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Dexter Lawrence, Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, Raquan Smith, Fred Warner, Deron Bland, Pat Surtain II, Jesse Bates III, and Kyle Hamilton at the strong safety. And the special teams consist of AJ Cole, Ross Matistic, Brandon Aubrey, I think that's well deserved, Brendan Schooler, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, Darius Davis, and Keyshawn Nixon for to make up the special teams. Do you think there was any snubs or someone that could have competed and put themselves in position?
I think they pretty much got most of the first team right?
Yeah.
Penny
Sue was
on
the second
team. Except that Trent Williams guy, he always holding. Like, nah, is Trent Williams not the only lineman that can miss a couple of games, that can miss 2 or 3 games and still make it first team? I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's a testament.
I mean, Zach Martin missed a game and he made it first team.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, Zach Martin, like, I told you before, I thought Zach Martin was overrated this year. It's not to say that he hasn't been everything in the past, but like, he been on the injured list a whole lot this year. So I'm like, man, the rest of y'all offensive linemen, y'all got to get y'all game up if y'all can't replace these dudes that's been hurt. You know what I'm saying? You played all season, and then these dudes been injured, and they still better than you.
Make
like,
you know what I'm saying?
Go figure.
I mean, we know why Trent Williams made first team. Like
well, you got to
where
think.
Would we be without Trent Williams?
I like CeeDee Lamb breaking, like it might not mean much outside of Dallas, but he done broke Michael Irvin records this year. You know what I'm saying? Like he done broke Michael Irvin receiving records. He done set the Dallas reception record, and now he done got the yards record. And you know what I'm saying? I think he got touchdowns also. I think he having one of he having a good season by Dallas Cowboy measures, by league standards too, but especially by Cowboy measures. But I look at on the defensive side of the ball, I ain't hear you say TJ Watt, which is confusing. Like,
I think TJ's on second team.
He had 19 sacks. How is he not on the team? He led the league in sacks. What are you talking about? Like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't understand the measures sometimes. He led the league in sacks. He was tied with somebody though, right? Somebody else had 19 as well. But I'm saying TJ Watt had 19 sacks. That's first team.
That should be.
I mean, I'm just saying that's first team.
It should be. That should be.
That's first team.
19 sacks. That it should be, but I mean, evidently it wasn't. Like
19 sacks is 7. And I ain't really. Did you mention Myles Garrett? Like, I'm like, where these dudes?
I think he's second team too.
These dudes killed it. Like, So yeah.
So Myles Garrett, think about it. Myles Garrett started out hot. So I don't know. Aaron Donald, Roquan Swift probably was deserving. Because you got
Aaron Donald's on that list by name only. He on that list by name only.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones, I think he had a good year. The interior, yeah, he had a great year this year. Chris Jones, he actually helped Kansas City win some games. But I'm saying, man, like, how you don't have? I mean, how you don't have TJ Watt? I'm just confused. Like, how don't you have the sack leader?
If you got you're saying if you got the interception leader, you should have the sack leader,
right?
Because Deron Bland is on there, even though he got toasted the majority of the year.
Right, and you see he get burned left and right, but but somehow he owned that, right? And then
He
he
on the
had,
first team.
he set the record for pick sixes. But that's what I'm saying. If you got him on there, how is TJ Watt not on there?
Like you said by name only. That's why Montgomery and Gibbs coming on Sunday night.
I don't know. I picked the. Well, we're gonna get to that later.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. We'll get to that. So I mean, Tyler Smith, Zach Martin. Y'all got Tyler Smith and Zach Martin on y'all make up almost half of the first team's offensive line.
And Tyron Smith be hurt so. Man, he be hurt so much. Like, this dude ain't been healthy all year long. You feel what I'm saying? So I think sometimes it is by reputation. You know what I'm saying? I think it's by reputation. Like, how can you miss as many games as Tyron Smith and still be on that list? Like,
So I understand the head-to-head. Is Lamar Jackson deserving the first team All-Pro, or should Brock Purdy be there? In your opinion?
In my opinion, that's a tough one. I would have went more Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy numbers are better. If we going, I mean, if we going by that, the right stuff, then but we all know why Lamar Jackson is on there. Lamar Jackson on there for the same reason TJ Watt not, right? You know what I'm saying? Like his team is better. You know what I'm saying? Like Roquan Smith, he on there because like the Baltimore. I think Kyle Hamilton is deserving, by the way. But like you can question the Roquan
definitely Kyle
Smith.
Hamilton. I'll give you that. Yeah, he's deserving.
You can question the Roquan Smith. You can question certain things, but I think Roquan he was either the second or third in the league in total tackles or something, right? So that might be why he on the list. And plus he was on the best team. But I think sometimes you know how it is. You play on the best team. Like we seen that with Aaron Rodgers winning MVP, right? Like he was on the best team for those years. Like they was 13-3. Like those years that he kept winning the MVP or whatever, he had the best team. He might not have had the best quarterback performance in those seasons a lot of times, but he was on the best team.
What's going on, TTA sis? What's going on? Happy Friday to you too. Glad to have your information with us this morning, as everyone else. So, I want to make sure that was all the topics in which I had before we get into the nitty gritty of this week's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night football, even this deep into the season, of course, going on, in which I know I got some supplemental topics in there. So I'm gonna forget it.
It's 6 games, right? Like
6 games, 6. Yeah.
6.
Yeah, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Monday. So getting into that, right? First game, your hometown, H-Town, hosting. They said it's sold out. They ready to go. What are we seeing in this game for the most part? The Cleveland Browns, Joe Flacco, Super Bowl winning quarterback Joe Flacco, turning back the hands of time, has a somewhat talented group. I know I'm very sure if Chubb was there, that'd be more preferable, but Ford and Hunt, Njoku, a top tier defense, Amari Cooper versus the new kids on the block in the Texans, a division champion. What do you think we have to? What do we think we're going to be seeing? And who are you going with for this dub? I know who you're going with because you've already said what you would like to see. But in humorous, what you looking at?
I think I'm taking the Texans. I'm giving the Texans a slight edge because they're young. Because they core players are young and don't know no better, and that can sometimes surprise. When you haven't been there, it can surprise you a little bit. Cleveland ain't really been there much. I think if they can, sustain the Cleveland defense early on, Stroud can win you that game late if you keep it close. You know what I'm saying? Like all you got to do is keep it close, and I think Stroud can win you that game late.
You heavily believe in Stroud. I say that. Like you have in the last couple of the last second half of the season, you have been on Stroud. Believing.
Well, the thing is, you have to watch, man. Like nobody has proven this year that they more accurate with the deep ball than this kid, and especially scrambling out of the pocket, making a move. You know what I'm saying? Like just a move in the pocket or out of the pocket. Like he just makes subtle adjustments. I mean, his poise and the way he playing. Early on in his career this year, this might be the only year he play like that, Trey. You never know what's going to
Yeah.
happen with these young quarterbacks. But I'm saying this year, the Texans got a chance to capitalize on what he doing. You know what I'm saying? On the fact that, and then his other advantage is that even though you got film on him, you ain't played against him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like you ain't really played against this guy much. Like so, your film means nothing. You got to see him up close and personal. It's like how Lamar Jackson was when he first came. Everybody was like, "Whoa, we didn't know he was that fast." You know what I'm saying? Like on film, like they was like, "We saw him fast on film," but when you on the field with him, it's a whole different game.
So when you look at it, like you said, he's proficient with the deep ball, but I think he's lost all his deep ball receivers without Tank Dell. It's just relying strictly on Nico Collins to be that. I think that's where they're going to start to falter at. I think without the weapons which they have, although they have instilled weapons with Singletary has came on strong, so they have Damian Pierce and Singletary in the backfield. But the defense, I don't think is as potent in Cleveland. I think the Browns are going to give them more fits than thought. Maurice basically stated that he thinks if it's a shootout, the Texans is who you go with. But if it's a close game, the Browns is going to have more of that grinded out mentality. I think so as well. Joe Flacco is a veteran, an experienced veteran, a Super Bowl experienced veteran. Even though he's removed from that time a bit, evidently it's just like riding a bike. It's still in you. Once all you got to do is get back in there, and I think he's had enough to where he's had it. I think the couple of weeks rest might have done him some well where he can get back into it. I think it's just going to be one of those things. As long as it's not going in with the big head and thinking like, okay, this is my year, and then you get caught slipping, or where they sit up and now but like you said, everyone got tape. So they're going to see if one's game plan is better than the others, and it's going to come out. But for this point, I think I'm going with the Browns for this one to knock off the Texans at home. But I mean, if Houston win, I wouldn't be upset. Why, man, they must team struggles versus man-to-man coverage. Next game on Saturday, 7:00 on Peacock, and we'll keep talking about Peacock. 7:00 on Peacock, the Miami Dolphins late year debacle was at one point looking like a number one seed team, fell off. First, playing against what we usually would have thought to be a number one seed, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're both meeting each other, in which only one can win. Which one do you think is going to get that dub?
It's gonna be negative something degrees out there in Kansas City. I don't think Miami gonna stand a chance
-2.
in that weather. I think the weather alone is gonna present a problem for Miami, and plus Miami a little bit hurt. I think they're the more hurt team, so I'm taking the Chiefs.
Mark said Ice Bowl, the Chiefs win. So definitely when you took at that, but so take this, riddle me this. Tyreek Hill has played in these conditions, being that he won a Super Bowl with these playing in these conditions. Does his experience in these conditions help? I mean, I know it's different than when it comes game time and playing, where you look at it, your feet is in there, that your feet is wet, you cold, and you can't sit and think. Your hands is all numb. But is there a possibility that Tyreek Hill can get his team right and ready, and we see a different Tua than what we seen in the last game of the season, and we see Kansas extra stage right early?
I mean, you got to think. No, man. Tua, Tyreek Hill can't control Tua. Ain't played in these elements, man. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You can't control the rest of the team. You know what I'm saying? H-Head came from Texas, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like these dudes. I mean, for real, like the weather's gonna be a factor. Whether or not one person being able to be used to it, and I think for me, I'm gonna put it this way: it depends on if these teams come out and stop doing the hero stuff. I don't like it when the players come out in the cold weather and then they come out with the short sleeves on to try to prove who they are, because it definitely affects their play. Like they get cold at some point in the game and it affects their play. So I think everybody come out with your sleeves on both sides, and it's still gonna be a decent game, right? but I think the speed element of Miami is going to be limited in that kind of weather. Field gets slippery. You know what I mean? Like it's more slippage, and we seen. And here's another problem. I like Tyreek Hill when he got the ball, but he don't always catch the ball. You can make a highlight reel of all the drops that Tyreek Hill had this year.
There is a highlight reel, which it said with these drops, he could have won. He could have got 2,000 yards receiving.
I mean, I'm just saying he dropped the ball quite a bit, but people don't like to point that out. They like to just highlight the fact that he's so fast and he's so good when he have the ball. But he made a lot of drops this year. Like, you know, like if he was on that Chiefs team, that's a lot of drops. He'd be right there with the drops with the rest of those dudes. You know what I'm saying? Because he dropped a lot of balls and wide open too. Like,
and so you know what? I was getting ready to say I'm Team Chiefs as well. But you bring up as I was thinking that when you was talking, I started thinking like, yes, it's going to be the conditions and the conditions are going to play a factor. But I think even though the Chiefs Kansas City's the home team, like you said, they're not effective. They're not that effective on offense. If you can find a way to stop Travis Kelce and limit Pacheco, it's a 50-50 between the other cats, in which in the same elements, it might not bode well. So I don't know. And then if you said was the match rushing games, I take Miami's rushing game over Kansas City's just a slight bit, because you still have to take into consideration they're in their elements. Pacheco was out there running.
Pacheco's
out there running.
Pacheco's
a problem. I'll give you that.
And Hardman's back, so I think Hardman gonna make a difference at wide receiver for the Chiefs. He's
Hardman and Rasheed, not Rasheed. Is it Rasheed?
Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, Rasheed Rice and Hardman. The new age. So we'll see. But I can agree the elements. I can still imagine me trying to play. I would be non-effective, and then I'd just be a decoy, because I was like, yo. It's, you know what I'm saying?
I like that comment right there, especially he knows how to line up. Nice one. Nice one.
Moving on to the Sunday wild card games. First up, your favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, facing off against those resilient Buffalo Bills. Who you got?
Man, I hate to do it, but I'm going for the Bills. I don't like neither one of these teams. I think both of them got lucky. Well, the Bills proved themselves. They beat Miami to get in, but I think Pittsburgh just got lucky. We talked about that before. The collapse of Jacksonville. Jacksonville, you owe me one. Like, for real. Pittsburgh should not be in the playoffs. I don't think they earned their way in like the other teams. But I'm going Buffalo only because T.J. Watt not playing. If T.J. Watt was playing, I would change my opinion. But he not playing. Yes, one man makes that big of a difference to me. Because now Josh Allen can scramble and get away. But with Highsmith and Watt, it wasn't going to happen as frequently as it's going to happen now.
Versus with the Steelers. So, I think this is one, like, Allen's going to probably get loose, and it's going to be all over from there. This is another game. It's raining, but it's 22 degrees. It's still elements. Those elements is going to take control. These cold fronts out there are coming. So it's definitely going to have his own toll, especially up there in Buffalo. And like you said, basically without a TJ Watt, I understand Highsmith is there. Minka Fitzpatrick is back, but I don't know if that's enough for the Steelers with coming in with a Rudolph. I go with the Bills as well, even though they crept into it. Sorry, Donovan, man. The Bills and sis, Bills it is. He says Sunshine is overrated. That's why the Jags came up short. Next up,
I can give you that.
Jordan Love. Opportunity to slay the monster, eradicate that shadow that continues to loom over him as Aaron Rodgers has went on in other places. But take consideration, Love did get his first playoff first year, even though everyone talked about him, the games in which he had, like he's not ready. Packers are in the playoffs. Face it off against the Dallas Cowboys in Wally's in Jerry's world. Of course, I know who you got, but let's say it anyway. Packers and Cowboys, what you going with?
I'm going with Dallas all day, man. Like, this is what I'm hoping though. I'm hoping we don't even I'm hoping we don't even make it a game. But like I said, like Green Bay, Green Bay had our number before, man. Like we haven't really beat them, but Aaron Rodgers not there no more. You know what I'm saying? Like he was really a struggle for us. So hopefully we can just come out. Man, if we come out and just smack them, then it shouldn't even be a contest. But we tend to we like to play with our food sometime before we before we finish the meal.
So yeah, I don't think Green Bay has a chance in this one, especially playing in Dallas Stadium. I mean, it's tough sledding for anyone that's been there. They're undefeated there. They have still. We can say what we want to say about them being the refs putting on the Cowboys uniform and assisting in the win, but Dallas Cowboys are undefeated at home this season, only team, and
hey,
this
wait a
is a
minute.
home game.
What people forget to mention is that we 16-0. So that goes back to last season at home. The last 2 seasons, we 16-0 at home. We got a 16-game win streak at home. Like, let's keep that going. So it ain't just 8-0 this year. It's 16-0, people.
16-0.
That's a long
8-0
time.
last year, 8-0 this year. So I mean, so it's what I'm saying, you gotta take that into consideration. That what I'm saying, until someone takes care of that, that's the rhetoric. And I don't think Green Bay is going to be the team to take care of that.
I was gonna say, yeah. I was gonna say, nobody gonna take care of that. We doing this.
Yeah. Of course, next up, I know my frat Nathan Miles is in the comments. Rams and the Lions. Are we seeing the upset here, or do the Lions defend home field advantage and take care of business up in Ford Field?
I picked the Rams in this one, right?
Okay.
I picked the Rams for the upset. I just like. There's no disrespect to the Lions. I just like McVay over Campbell better. You know what I mean? I think McVay, as you can see, I'm a huge fan of the coaches, and I think McVay is the dude. And I think everybody's saying he old, but I think Aaron Donald gonna come up big late in the game when they really need to make a play to make a stop or whatever. And I think both quarterbacks are prone to mistakes, though. You know what I'm saying? So it's who don't, like Goff gonna throw it to the other team, and so is Matthew Stafford. You can bank on that. So I think it's just gonna come down to I think the Rams. I think the Rams got a few more weapons and surprise weapons, by the way. That receiving core and Kyron Williams. I just think McVay know what to do with that.
So looking at it, right? I think it's a potential offensive juggernaut versus a hard rushing game. And so, of course, when you look at that, we all say defense wins ball games. So it becomes who can stop the other one. What can the Rams secondary stop the Detroit receiving core? James Williams, St. Brown, Laporte is not there, so that's going to be a huge loss for the Lions. Then of course, back up. Can the Detroit Lions secondary stop the Rams? Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Higbee. I know they have another two Atwell, and they have another receiver, so they have a receiving core of in-state. Not to mention running backs out the backfield. Although on the flip side of that, the Rams do have an effective run game, and Kyron Williams, he has been shredding defenses. And so, does that continue, or can the Rams stop that? Can Aiden Hutchinson put enough pressure on Jared Goff to force them into bad passes, or are they going to have a game plan that's going to put them in position to where it don't make a difference how fast the pass rush comes? All he needs is a second. But then on the flip side of that, you got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, a 1-2 punch unlike no one else in the league currently, that can cause problems that might open up the passing game for Jared Goff to be able to play action or be able to hit St. Brown and Williams and all the other receiving core. So I think that's what it comes down to. I know earlier Nathan said something about Aaron Donald. You talk about Aaron Donald making a difference. Does Aaron Donald make a difference? Can he be able to hold up against Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery? And I don't
I'm
know.
just saying. I'm just saying, in situational football, players like Aaron
Uh-huh.
Donald make more plays than not. Like you ain't got to do it the whole
Okay.
game. I just need you to do it in the fourth quarter when everything's on the line. Make a play, and I think Aaron Donald will make a play. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Hutchinson gonna make some plays. You know what I'm saying? But is he gonna make them at the right time?
At the right
Uh,
times, yeah.
like at the right times in the game. Like you can make plays throughout the game, but can you make it at the right time where it's gonna really make a difference? But both teams
I
gonna
don't,
put up points. Like both teams, they gonna score. But you know,
I'm just trying to look and see who would I rather see more. Would I rather see the Rams for a third time in San Francisco, or would I want to see Detroit in San Francisco? Like, do we want to see the run game? Like, we have a potent offense, but do we want to see that run game, or do we want to sit up and bet, have more of an idea of like, oh well, we're gonna sit up and give it to them? So I don't know. In this case, I think I would rather see Detroit as opposed to see the Rams for a second time again, for a third time again, in which the second time they beat us, in which I don't know what that outcome. Let's say Brock Purdy was to go down. They just sit up and found they seen a way how to fluster and how to put a stop to Darnold. So the next time
but
around,
but
do we have it?
But you know the way the NFL is set up, you won't get if Detroit wins that game, you won't get Detroit.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
won't
Yeah,
get
you're right.
Detroit.
You're right. You're exactly
Like
right.
Detroit will go to Dallas because if we win, you
Yeah,
know what I'm saying. Like you gonna get the lowest seed. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
correct.
Like you gonna get the lowest seed. If the Rams win, you gonna get the Rams. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah. So
like because Green Bay ain't beating Dallas. I mean, so you gonna get that's gonna be the lowest seed. You'll get the lowest seed if the Rams win. You know what I'm saying?
he
Um,
said they will in 2 weeks.
you know, so that's what I look at. Oh, I feel that confidence for the Lions, like, but it's that time though. It's gonna be an interesting game. I think it's gonna be a good game,
Yeah,
but
I think that's going to be the better of the
I'm still
games that's
going with
being played
McVay.
all week.
Yeah, I'm still going with McVay. Like,
And the last but not least for the week, of course, ended on a Monday, Martin Luther King Day, birthdays day, the Eagles and the Buccaneers. Of course, this could have been Atlanta and the Eagles. It could have been New Orleans and the Eagles. Hell, it could have been the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. This game took on so many different variances until it was decided, in which the Eagles are facing off against the Buccaneers in Tampa. Who you got?
man, I hate to say it, but I'm going with the Eagles in this one. I'm giving the
Mm-hmm.
Eagles. I'm giving the Eagles just a slight edge, only because I like Jalen Hurts a little bit better than Baker Mayfield. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's about it. I think the receiving cores are going to be a wash. Um, I think the both defenses struggle a little bit. You know what I mean? To stop each other, I think that's going to be a struggle for both of them a little bit. But I'm taking Philly. I'm taking Philly just because I think Jalen Hurts going to let it loose this game. As far as I'm looking for Jalen Hurts to run more than he ran all season to get the
Mm-hmm.
job done in this game. Healthy or not, I'm looking at him. I'm looking at him doing what it takes to win. I like his chances more than Baker Mayfield.
So, of course, I agree with you going with Eagles. I wouldn't be hurt if they lost. Um, but when you look at it, um, one, Jalen is recovering from the finger injury, so we don't know how well he can throw it, but which may allude to what you was just talking about him running the ball more often as opposed to protecting his hand by curling up and taking hits or absorbing hits. Um, Brown might be a little hobbled. Smith is a little hobbled, so it could be a strictly Smith, and maybe even a Jones show for the most part. And in some cases, that might not be enough for them to keep up with a Rashad White banging the line. Uh, Mike Evans continuing on with what he does as a receiver, Godwin, Goodwin, and all that type of stuff. So this could be a actually pretty good game for the most part. I know Nate says Philly in a terrible game. It might not be as terrible as we thought, but this could be a potential game. It could be an upset, but I mean, it could be a game to where the Eagles fall off and it goes back to this. If the Eagles was to lose this game, do you see Sirianni out 1 year from
Sirianni,
remove?
no,
Yeah, Sirianni.
no, I don't see him out. I don't see him out because um, you still won 11 games. You won like whatever last year. You won 14 or whatever last year. You won 11 this year. Like, like what has he done to deserve to be out of there? Um, I think the bar is set high for Philly when you expect them to win a Super Bowl, but you got to sit and be patient. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to get back to the Super Bowl back to back years when you lose. You know what I'm saying? When you lose, it's hard to get back. It's hard to get back if you win. It's super hard to get back when you lose.
So, of course, that's what I forgot to cover and talk about. Gabe Davis as well as Taylor Trapp are going to are going to be out versus the Steelers. Do you think that's going to make a difference?
No,
Or you think it's
because
going to be all Allen anyway?
it's gonna be Josh Allen heroics. It's gonna be the heroics of Josh Allen anyway, so it's not gonna really matter. And they running the ball a little bit better with Cook, with that Cook guy, James Cook. They running the ball a little bit better.
James Cook, yeah, the brother of. So yeah, so of course, what I'm saying, those are what we talked about for NFL. Those picks, be sure to tap into those so you can be able to see where your team is at going on to the next, moving on to the next week. I don't have anything to worry about this week. I can sit and be cool and just wait for the chips to fall where they may. Baltimore Ravens fans the same, and go on from there. So shock for the weekend from.
I want to put this out there.
Yes.
People always bashing my Cowboy fans, my fellow Cowboy fans, and saying that we obnoxious. But look at the arrogance of the San Francisco 49ers fans. Y'all just be so cocky until y'all fall short. So keep that cockiness, keep that arrogance, keep it up. You know what I'm saying? I tried for a team that ain't won a Super Bowl in nearly 3 decades, boy, y'all sure be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be comfortable.
We've been to 2 of them. We've been in 2 of them in the last decade.
But how many of those did you win? So you might as well not even show up. You ain't won them. I mean, I'm just saying. That's a lot of confidence.
Well, I'm just saying, I try to be more that speaks in facts, and the fact is, we don't have anything to worry about until next week. We can't lose today, although it could be some questions. I know it was something where I know somebody, I can't remember what team it was. I think it was the Green Bay Packers, in which they was doing a walkthrough, and one of their players rolled his ankle. It might not be able to play. So, you know what I'm saying? At this point, you know what I'm saying, we should be good. We don't have any of those issues or those problems currently. I know we've been taking a look at some bringing in some help now that we lost Jason Verrett to another injury. So I know they was trying out some quarterbacks or some DBs. So I mean, I'm just saying that's all it is. We don't have anything to worry about this week. We just sit back and worry and watch and see. Next week we'll see where we at with it. And you know, what I'm saying. But I mean, right now we good. We ain't all we do. We're watching that. They're watching like we watching. So. It feels good. It feels good to do that. That's what everyone plays for. Do you think it was a good idea for them to go from the top 2 seeds getting the bye to just 1 seed getting the bye?
Yeah, it makes it more interesting. You added a team to the thing. Being number 1 is huge. Like you get the home field. Like, so why should 2 teams reap the benefits of what 1 team did? You know what I mean? So I like it. And plus, you get an extra, like you get an extra game. That's pretty cool. Like, like you get an extra game.
So moving on to NBA before we end up getting out of here, right? Last night, of course, I watched the Los Angeles Lakers get smacked. We saw a 25-0 run from 2 top-tier teams. And then we seen a 62-point drubbing from another team. Why is the NBA full of scoring all of a sudden?
The talent is better. I'm not gonna say that they taking away defense, but they kind of are a little bit. But the talent is way better than you. Like the last 4 or 5 years, the talent in the NBA has been ridiculous. Like it's more skilled players. It's more players that can put the ball in the bucket. This ain't, you know what I'm saying? This ain't 1990 whatever. This ain't early 2000s. You got scorers. they can put the ball in the bucket. And if you're not allowed to, the only way the NBA gonna stop some of this scoring is to bring back hand checking and you know what I'm saying, and allow the forearm in the back stuff again, in order to stop these people. You know what I'm saying? Because the talent is way too good. But if you can't hand check them, it's gonna be you're gonna get what you get right now. Every team now got shooters, they got scorers. You got to drop 115 points if you want to be effective this year. Last year, I think it was 114 was the league average. So they up a point already.
So start off with the the 62-point drubbing. The Oklahoma City Thunder, which we already talked about being a team, one of those teams that's up and coming, smashed the Portland Trailblazers, void of I don't know what to say. Chauncey Billups probably going to be fired this year. Smashed them 139 to 77. Only two players in Portland scored in double figures, and that was only 14 and 13 points coming from Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson. While basically 7 players scored in double figures for the OKC Thunder, the highest being Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 31 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, double from Josh Giddey. Correction, triple double from Josh Giddey, as he had 10 points, 12 rebounds, 12 and 13 points. They're up and coming, and I mean that's all you can say. Going back to the conversation we just having, what would be the trajectory of the Portland Trailblazers? Because we got to take into consideration Portland was hot at a second. They was in 2 championships, although they failed in both of them. But what could have been the trajectory of the organization had players like Sam Bowie, Brandon Roy, and even as the late Greg Oden weren't marred by injuries?
We know they would have been real contenders for a while with the whole Brandon Roy and Greg Oden. You know, those very, man, for me, it's unfortunate because those injuries took those, and it's always a what if, right? They wasn't gonna be nothing with Sam Bowie. That was a bad pick. You know what I'm saying? Like Sam Bowie was a bad pick. Yeah, but I think everything else, I think those players would have made them competitive, and I think it would have shifted even like the Dame Lills and stuff, the tradition. Like you gotta think at least Dame Lillard, they was a little bit competitive in certain parts of his career, right? Like they not competitive at all right now.
Did Dame and LaMarcus play together? They played together, didn't they?
LaMarcus was leaving when he got there, right? Like when Dame was really taking over or whatever. But yeah, it's awful to see what happens to it. Like Portland, you better than this. And I'm not gonna put it all just on Chauncey Billups, but a whole lot of it is, man, they keep trying to give you talent to work with, and y'all not even competitive. Like I forgot how many games they won, but they ain't won many games. This is gonna be the second year in a row y'all haven't won many games. It's like when do you start saying, hey man, they got some potential to do something? They don't even look good.
They don't. Of course, another game that had a change of events. The Milwaukee Bucks went on a 25-0 run between the first and the second quarter that basically put the game out of reach, and Boston never recovered, falling to the Bucks by the score of 135 to 102 last night. Of course, Jason Tatum and company scored the bench. I mean, the starters scored 7, 6, 2, and 10 and 6 for the most part. The highest of that being Jaylen Brown's 10 points, which they got some help from the bench and Brissett and Hauser, as well as Pritchard dropping the team high 21 points. But of course, it wasn't enough when you looked at who dialed in. Giannis, 24 points, 21 points for Dame Lillard in his game back, of course. Brook Lopez contributed with 15 points, and Bobby Portis with 28 points off the bench. Basically, saying they took care of business. Do these type of scoring spurts and things of this nature, when it comes to lopside, do you think this is predicated to what the season will be, or just as one-off is competition and it becomes different once the playoffs start because it's a more of a confined schedule?
Well, Boston didn't take the game serious. You got to look at the minutes. Like I think Jason Tatum played like 16 minutes. These dudes didn't play
Yes,
a
he
lot of
did.
minutes. I
16
mean, you
10.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they didn't even really like. I think they was taking a break. You know what I'm
They,
saying?
yeah, I
Like
mean,
they
actually,
was
you're right.
resting players.
The
They was
coach,
resting players without
yeah,
resting players. You know what I mean?
the coach, he said, like, they said the starters they can play after the second half.
Yeah, like they was resting players without resting players under the new league rules. That's all that was for Boston. So yeah, this is just a game. You know what I'm saying? This is just one of those games where the Bucks weren't resting their guys as much, and then the Celtics was resting their dudes during the game. Like now you got to play by the new rules. It's the new load management. You know.
Find a way, got to find a loophole. Of course, the Mavericks and Knicks faced off last night. Mavericks won by a score of 128 to 124. Kyrie Irving dropped, I think, 40 in that game. Actually, 44 points, 10 assists in the game. Assistance from Tim Hardaway Jr. Taking beating out the Knicks. The Suns and Lakers 127 to 109. The Lakers fall to the Suns. Of course, all of their big three played, that being Durant, Bill, and Booker. Bill dropped 37 and 6 last night. Highest man for the Lakers was D'Angelo Russell. Continue you can see the disparage in the looks on Coach Ham's face. It looks like what you've been saying is becoming like something's coming up. I know someone Rob Palinka didn't look too happy in the stands. So it's like all this is coming about. I don't know if that's to say that there's going to be some moving and shaking going on. I'm very sure they're not going to fire Darvin Ham mid-season. Unless they feel like they're close, and he's really the catalyst behind the losing, and they have a someone that's on their bench that can take over and lead the team potentially. Of course, we know there's still conversation always talks in which making some moves from a player's aspect in which we still have yet to see. So of course that's later to come. And of course, in the game in Paris, it was a special game in Paris. The Brooklyn Nets took on the Cleveland Cavaliers, in which the Cavaliers were victorious 111 to 102. Donovan Mitchell dropped 45 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists on the night. Cam Thomas led the Nuggets, the Nets with 26 points and 6 rebounds. A game in Paris, of course, the expanding the global game for the most part that seemingly everyone is getting to, regardless of the sport or the level, playing overseas and competing. I know a lot of teams, even from the aspect of when I was a semi-pro team owner, where we always looked at, okay, potentially bringing a team over from Japan or traveling to Japan or China to play from an international standpoint for competition. It's saying it's the norm of what you're doing. But of course, those were the games last night. One thing I would like to talk about, which it's just media in general. Did you check out the Stephen A. Smith show a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago?
About the whole Jason Whitlock thing, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I watched a lot of it. Then I was like, man, look, like Stephen A, you better than that, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I was a huge fan of Stephen A for a while. I'm starting to fall off a little bit with that, um, just because. I mean, he got the number one show, so you got to pay him attention, right? He got the number one sports show, morning talk show, sports show, so you got to pay him attention. But at the same time, I think they starting to let other shows affect the way that they run their shows and stuff, like, you know what I'm saying, and um, even doing his podcast or whatever, you can definitely see the effects of other shows, like It Is What It Is and all that stuff, man. So, all the smoke and all that, you can see it definitely having an effect on ESPN
Mm.
and the other networks, Fox and all those other networks.
It was crazy because I looked at the interview as well. I know it first started off with him speaking about Pat McAfee. What do you think about Pat McAfee?
I think Pat McAfee, I think his show was better when it was a podcast. Not him mainstream TV. It don't look as, he's still good for TV. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying it's not the same. It don't hit the same as it did. It seemed like he had to restrict himself a little bit more, and he been a wide open. He was wide
Yeah.
open on that podcast.
Yeah, which is, you know what I'm saying, and for the most part, it was still the same until, of course, Aaron Rodgers got on there. Currently, from what Stephen A. Smith was saying, that at minimum, Aaron Rodgers has been banned from the show for the rest of the year, the rest of the football season, due to some discouraging remarks he made about Jimmy Kimmel and the Weinstein list that they said at some point is probably going to come out.
Yeah.
So, in which Aaron Rodgers stated that he was only doing it to poke at Kimmel, as he always does as Rodgers, but Kimmel took it offensively, and Rodgers.
Would you not take it offensively, man? You basically, I
If
mean,
I
you
ain't on
you
that
put it.
list, I ain't.
I mean, come on, but you put it out there. No, it's not the fact that I'm on the list. It's the fact that you say some stuff that put it out there that I might be on the list. I mean, you feel what I'm saying? Even though I know I'm not on the list, people still heard that. You know what I'm saying? That's the way people interpret stuff, man. You can't do that. Like, come on, that. I mean, we seen many of people go down for less than that. Like, man, you don't even, you know what I'm saying? You can't be associated. They wouldn't even let remember a few years ago they wouldn't let Kevin Hart do the Oscars or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He got pulled. Like, Aaron Rodgers, you can't do that, man, to somebody's reputation and then say that I didn't mean it like that or try to justify. I mean, the man called you unintelligent. So talk about his intelligence. I mean, keep it on a fair field. Don't go with this whole wow. You know, like, that was unbelievable that he went there. Like, why would you go there and say that?
In which, you
Know
know,
how
saying, and so from Stephen A's point of view, he's like he's like, one, if he did it, he's like, you can sit up and apologize and say I didn't mean it. He's like, but Aaron's not apologizing. He tried to he's giving his soliloquy of what the meaning was, but he's like, I'm not apologizing. So
right.
I mean,
Aaron not apologizing. That's up to Aaron. I mean, that's cool if you're not apologizing, but at the same time, live with the consequences, man. I mean, I think um, we talked about this before. I think a big part of the allure for Pat McAfee was he could have Aaron Rodgers on his show whenever he felt like it.
correct.
You know,
And I was gonna see how he
um,
does without that.
yeah, and it's good. It's good to put Aaron Rodgers on the sideline for a minute to see exactly, like you said, to see exactly what Pat McAfee has on it. You know what I'm saying? Totally. I think it works out, but at the same time, like I'm sick of all these beefs. You know what I mean? And I'm tired of. And why does Stephen A. feel the need to have to say anything and speak up on? Is he now just the new ESPN spokesman? He was speaking up for Malika. What's her name? He's speaking up. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, is he now just the ESPN spokesman or something? Like I agree with Shannon Sharp. Like, why are you addressing these people? Like, leave these people alone. Like, like, let them people. Them people clearly need you more than you know what I'm saying. Than you need them. Like, they gotta mention your name. You don't have to mention their name at all. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like but I think you're starting to strike nerves. I mean, he called that guy he called that dude fat bastard and all kind of stuff, man. He used the B word. I was like, look at Stephen A. Like, didn't know he had that stuff, right? To do half the stuff that he's doing now. But I think that's definitely the influence of, just because you got interviewed by Cameron and Mace don't make you tough now, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it don't make you a part of the hip hop community like that, man. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't let who you associate with get you smacked at some point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, and I wonder, will Whitlock respond, or does he just keep it pushing and just let it go? Like, what I'm saying, that he's and then I'm still trying to figure out what was the reason for him even to respond to say something to Kevin. I mean, to Whitlock. So
well, it's the Whitlock always talking about Stephen A. He called him I mean, you gotta understand, he called this man a plant. Like Cat Williams called Kevin Hart. He was like Stephen A. Smith is the Kevin Hart of sports, of sports shows. Disney and ESPN planning them. I mean, that's what set Stephen A. off right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the same way Cat Williams set things off. That's what Whitlock did to set Stephen A. off. But he called him a plant. I don't think Stephen A. is a plant, by the way. I think he earned everything that he got. Because remember, he got fired from ESPN before, you know what I'm saying?
and he came back, right?
And he came back stronger. So I think he learned valuable lessons on how to get it. I don't take nothing away from no person that that's achieving stuff. But Trey, you gotta let me ask you this: a guy like Whitlock who was on ESPN for a while, um, and now I forget where he is. I don't even know what he on
He's
right
on
now.
Blaze TV now.
You know, but my thing is, like who won this? Like I think Stephen A. clearly winning. Like with all the accomplishments, I'm not even just talking accomplishments. I'm talking fans and people engaging conversations. When your only conversation is dissing these dudes, you know what I'm saying? Right. But it's true that Cat Williams has started everybody going in on each other. Like you saw my post, right? Like, man, comedians beefing. What else I said? Sports, sports, TV and podcasters, they beefing. Everybody beefing, and everybody got a lot to say. I don't mind opinions, but you also got to remember this. I wonder, do you remember when Whitlock took the dig about Stephen A? It was a while ago where Jalen Rose was still on the show at that time, where he took the dig at him about Stephen A's college career, basketball career. You know what I'm saying? Calling Stephen A lie and a fraud, which was kind of odd, Like Stephen A said he only played one game his senior year, but he was averaging 1.5 points.
Yeah.
So Whitlock was just questioning how you get 1.5 points out of one game. You can't average that, right? You either average 2 points or 1 point, right? 1 point or 2 point. If you only played one game, so they've been feuding back and forth for a minute, but Stephen A been sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah, he's like he'd be taking a high road, but he's tired of it. So I mean, it's understandable. I'm just hoping no one comes for me. Saying I just that's
man, let them bring it. It's a part of the game, and
it's part of the game. That's what it is.
Like I think it's a part of the game. Like everybody taking shots, right? Like
I think I put one for Lil Wayne's book and not respond.
But think about this though. They went after Shannon did the Cat Williams thing. The dudes from All the Smoke, him and Steven Jackson got into it. Steven Jackson had a lot to say. You know what I'm saying? About how Shannon should have controlled the interview and because Shannon been friends and interviewed those other people that Cat mentioned, that Steven Jackson was saying all kind of stuff about that as far as he shouldn't have said. They wouldn't have, like if Cat Williams was on their show, they wouldn't have let him go at them other dudes or other comedians or other people like that and all that kind of stuff or whatever. And then he was saying that Shannon didn't know how to control an interview or something, but it wasn't even an interview per se. It was like when you go to Club Shay, it's about letting them speak. So
yeah,
and then Shannon addressed that with that nightcap show that he got with Ocho. With Ocho, so yeah, and he was directly speaking to Steven Jackson. You know what I'm saying? It's like the hatred in the game is real, man. Like some people gonna love what you do, some not, right? And you see people making names off of each other all the time by throwing each other under the bus a lot of times. You know what I mean? About being highly critical.
It's crazy. So, but of course, we greatly appreciate everyone tapping in this morning. Of course, we'll be back most likely Monday to talk about what happened over the weekend and then cap off what we saying things might change a little bit, things could change, talk about what's going on for the Monday Night Football. So I hope everyone enjoys the weekend. Actually, we won't be back Monday. We'll come back Tuesday, I think, because Monday is going to be Martin Luther King's birthday. So we lower for everyone to get that in, and then we'll get a chance to see the last game and come back. So we'll definitely be tapping in with y'all on Tuesday, so we can go forth and see what this has shaped out to be. What's the latest in the NBA and so on and so forth. So we greatly appreciate Coach. Any last words before we get up out of here?
Man, everybody have a good one. If you up in the areas where I'm at, the Nebraska, Iowa areas and stuff like that, stay out of this snow, man, because it's high out there. I think 12 inches now. Within the last few days, it accumulated 12 inches of snow.
Hold on. So, of course, we greatly appreciate y'all tapping in. We look forward to seeing y'all next week. Hold on. Having technical difficulties.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, Leslie. I like that you said you go take you going with the Bucks. We discussed it, and we was both going with Philly. Uh, Appreciate you, Dave. Sorry, I think Trey gone, so I'm gonna wrap the show up. I think he said he had technical difficulties, so I'm gonna finish the show off by saying, man, y'all have a great day, and see y'all at the Martin Luther King Day. Everybody enjoy the holiday, and stay warm, people, if you're in the cold areas. And prayers out to the people in Florida that lost their homes and stuff like that during the tornadoes that hit. Enjoy y'all day.